The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 207. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap-Chan, and today I have a phenomenal woman on the show. She is a speaker, an author, and most important, an advocate, so I'm really honored to have her on and share her story with us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Trish Kaye Lleone. Trish, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Hi there, Sheena. I'm thrilled to be on the show, so thanks for the invitation. I'm actually a child rape survivor, and now I'm a women's rights advocate here in the Philippines. I authored Finding Anna, a true story of child sexual abuse, my own rape story. That was my coming out of story, so to speak. I'm also an ambassador for United Voices Against Rape. It's a nonprofit organization. The head office is in Australia. It's in, I believe, Victoria. But we have people here in the Philippines who we go out to speak in universities. I'm also co-founder of urduha.org. It's an NGO. We're focusing on providing legal counseling and skills training assistance to victims of abuse, and currently working on my second book.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, love what you're doing. It's great that you're able to share your story out there, especially, with such a hard topic like rape. Most women, especially Asian women, kind of hide that because they feel shame. They feel like they did something wrong, even though they didn't. And you're out there speaking your truth, showing them what's possible, inspiring them to come out and, learn to that. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's great for you to share your story and inspire others as well. So, Trish, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
It's the one by, actually, I have a lot of favorites, but my most favorite would be the one by Maya Angelou. She said, I got my own back. At the end of the day, we have to learn how to protect ourselves, love ourselves, nurture ourselves without depending on other people, because this is about us. We have to stop relying on other people for feeling happy, having inner peace, feeling happiness. Just us. We are our own source of strength.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I love the quote that you mentioned, I got my own back. And it's true. Everything, that we want, whether it's change, getting better, doing better, changing mindset, it all has to start from us. And, it's great to get support, but we really have to make that decision that if we want to change, we decide to change and we take action on it. So, in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
Well, actually, self-confidence for me is embracing yourself fully, both the beautiful and the flawed parts of you. Through the years, I have learned that self-love is where it all starts. It took me 30 years to come out about my child rape story and to admit even to myself that I was a child rape victim. But when I came out, that's when my journey to self-confidence started, and that includes embracing yourself, even the negative parts of you, because you have to love yourself by nurturing your positives and working on the negatives. Nobody's perfect. We have our flaws, but we can channel those flaws into positives. But we can only do that when we start embracing ourselves fully.
Awesome. And I love that definition you have. And, sometimes our weaknesses are our greatest strength. And
that's true.
I think women, especially Asian women, focus on the fact that, when we're flawed, something's wrong with us. When there's nothing wrong with us, our flaws are what makes us beautiful. And, it's okay if we make mistakes. It's okay if we're not perfect. Because, if we're perfect, then it's boring, right? There's no challenges. It doesn't make us the person we are today, especially, what you've been through. So, it's okay to just be who you are, make mistakes, learn from them, fumble along the way, move forward, and live your best life. So, Trish, in your, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
This is where it's going to be difficult for me to start. I think the most difficult part of not being self-confident is always questioning your self-worth. I was like that. I questioned my self-worth. Many times I thought, I wasn't worth much. So the effect was that I settled with abusive relationships, crappy jobs. I hung out with bad friends. I didn't care about my future. I had no life goals because I thought whatever came my way is what I just deserved. It was bad. It was bad. So I'm so thankful that I was able to move on from that.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think we all feel like that, right? Like we have no purpose here, that we should just kind of like walk aimlessly like a zombie and just go through life, not
That's true.
going with the flow. And, really we're here for a purpose. And sometimes we might not know what it is. Sometimes it might take a while for us to figure that out. And, what was that moment in your life when you realized, you are somebody who's powerful, someone who is on purpose and, having that self-confidence, starting to believe in yourself?
Okay, well, I came out 3.5 years ago to the public, and it has helped me discover more about my strengths and my weaknesses, what I keep doing wrong, what I need to cultivate. I met friends who provide me with insights about trauma recovery because I have trauma from the abuse that I went through. And it is liberating to know what sorts of trauma I may have suffered from my sexual abuse because that helps me deal with the negative behaviors. So, as an example, when I found out that I have codependency behavior, I spent a good amount of time evaluating my relationships. I created a tick list to keep track of which relationship may be toxic and which ones are healthy and so on. And then, I enumerated the reasons why the toxic ones are, what makes them so, what needs to be done, that kind of thing. And most of the time, the reason was me. So that's what codependency behavior does. It's self-destructive. But, when you have that behavior, you give too much of yourself to others that you neglect your own need for self-care. And that depletes your sense of self-worth over time. I think that was my own aha moment when I went out, when I embraced myself, and when I acknowledged that I'm not perfect and I need to work on myself.
Thanks for sharing that. And I'm pretty sure, coming out, with the abuse that you had to deal with wasn't easy, right? I know
No.
it's scary and you feel like you're alone in the journey sometimes, but, it's great that you were able to come out and now you're writing books, speaking about it, being an advocate, creating all these amazing organizations to be that support system for other women who may or may not be going through the same thing that you went through before. And, because of this realization, what's your life been like now?
What's my life like now? I still have bad days. I still have days when I have triggers. But because I know myself better now, I'm able to manage. I know when the triggers are about to start and I know what to do. So I think I have more inner peace now because a big part of it, is because I have fully embraced myself, who I am, what I've been through. And I never allow anyone, even myself, to define me based on my past. I always make sure that, I have goals. I always make sure that every day is a productive day. I always make sure that I love myself first. I think that's very important.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love that you said, you're not defined by your past, which is great. So many people out there feel like, they always, go to their past thinking, well, I've never, back then I sucked at this. What makes me think I can do it now? Or, this happened to me. What makes me think I could change my circumstances? When really the past is past, it's left behind. You can learn from it and move on. And, I always believe you can change your circumstances in an instant. And loving yourself is totally, I think the number one thing that as women, especially Asian women, should do every day, learn to love themselves, the good, the bad, the ugly. If you trip on yourself, who cares? Love yourself anyway. If you,
Exactly.
If you went for a walk for 20 minutes, love yourself, right? It's not just always about the good. It's the good, the good and the bad. And what makes us, the person that we are today. So.
Yeah, that's true. Can I just share something, Sheena?
Yeah, sure.
There was this lady who came to us for counseling one time, and I told her, you know what? Whatever happened in the past, whatever broke you, you always have the power. The power is in your hands to change things around and make that work for you. I still believe in that. I believe in that. That's why I said it. We have the power.
I love it. And I think that's, a great piece of advice that we can, share with our listeners is that we have the power to change your circumstances and not, not focus on past events because it's already done. We can't change it. We can't, be like Back to the Future and have a time machine and go back and try to change the circumstances. We can be present with what's around us, be grateful, and work for a future. So, Trish, if our listeners wanted to get to know about you and your cause and a little bit more about you, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yep, I am on Facebook. I have my own fan page, Trish Kaye Lleone, and I'm on Twitter, Shey Rumbee, SheyRhumbee. That's a lot, sorry. Okay, our website is urduha.org, www.urduha.org.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Trish, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Trish's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really just want to thank Trish for taking the time to share her story, especially with a topic that you shared today. I know it's a hard topic sometimes to talk about. So I'm really grateful that, you're bringing this awareness to people that, it's okay. What happened in the past, you can always change your future. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Sheena.
It was an honor to have you on. To our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.